Hi guys, welcome back to Slash 2. I'm Charlie.
I'm Kyle.
And this week we're going to be going off the rails a little bit from what we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
Some news broke, and it's something that I specifically really want to talk about. Fair warning to everybody, this is not going to be a pleasant subject. There was a news article that we're going to be discussing specifically, so there will be mentions of things like sexual violence. If it's not your sort of thing, please hold out. Next week we're doing Pokemon. So that'll be a nice fluffy one to recover with. But, I mean, we'll jump straight in with what's triggered us talking about this. A UK con was going off last weekend, ended on Sunday the 2nd. The UK Games Expo. Now, it's held at the Birmingham NEC, which is where we went to Comic-Con, the MCM Expo at the NEC. So it's a relatively large UK con, and it's dedicated to tabletop gaming. So you've got all sorts of roleplay games and card games and everything going on.
Yep.
Part of that, obviously, D&D falls into, which obviously is very close to both of our hearts. How the NEC had it set up, how the con organisers had it set up, was that several people could put forward to DM, and they would be set up at tables, and you could sign up to join in games with each DM. The DM had to provide both the con and prospective players with a write-up as to what the story would entail. More for the con owners than the people, obviously more in depth, so that they had an idea as to what sort of story they were going to join in, what sort of thing they were going to play, blah, blah, blah.
You should, off that bit, you should totally do that next year.
I might do. I need to prepare a one-shot that's not too long. But
interesting as fuck.
I have a couple of ideas, to be fair. But anyway.
Sorry.
This particular DM who has been left nameless, which I think is wrong. I think he should have been named. I'm
sure on the internet his name will be there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the person that brought all this to light actually tweeted about it, and I haven't gone specifically to dig up and find those tweets. I figure that she's probably getting a lot of messages in the minute, so I didn't want to add to all of that, and I don't want to name someone straight off on this in case anyone listens. And again, people have a bad habit of attacking people when they're named, so I'm going to leave everyone nameless anyway. But this DM decided that it was a good idea that whenever he had a female at his table, to include violent gang rape. That's never okay. He wasn't forewarning these people. He certainly hadn't forewarned the convention itself. According to the quote on here, if I can find it on here.
He enjoyed the shock factor of it.
Yeah. Told us he enjoyed the shock factor of it. He was... one of the women who were involved in all this obviously reported it. He was promptly kicked out of the con and banned from all future events, which is good. Fantastic for the con staff to jump in immediately and do something about that. That's 100% the right things for them to have done. But that's never okay.
It's not cool.
There are out there games where you have specifically agreed to have stuff like that included. There are erotic roleplay games, so, there's erotic D&D games you can sign up for. But the biggest thing about this, which is the same for anything sexual, is consent. You have to know what you're consenting to. And if you don't have consent from your players to do something, you don't do it.
It's not right. I mean, having the stones to fucking do something like that in the middle of the con is already
It suggests a sick mind. You're in public surrounded by children and you're happy to graphically describe gang rape. And this is the thing, from what I have read, he was only doing it whenever a woman sat at his table. This, I consider, was possibly an attempt at gatekeeping, which is the major topic we're going to be covering today.
Yeah, so just to close on this, the the expo commented saying that the content was not set out in the game description, and it was unacceptable even for one with an 18 rating.
Yeah.
Now, for me, D&D is supposed to be a fantasy world game sort of thing where I imagine a majority of the players just want to sort of lose themselves in it a bit and have a little bit of immersion, not like 12 dicks raining down upon some innocent person, because as graphic as that is to say, it ain't cool. I mean,
as a DM, your job is to make sure everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
No.
I mean, as a DM, I have touched on sensitive topics. I have never gone that far.
No.
And I would never go that far. The closest I've come is implying a possible case of child abuse in an NPC in order to trigger more in-depth theological and alignment discussions in my characters. I've never said anything. I've laid out clues that they then made that jump of logic themselves, and I thought even that was pushing it a bit far for the game we were playing.
Yeah.
You don't do that to people without consent into it.
Total fucking strangers too.
Yeah. Total, complete strangers. I mean, in one of our recent games, Ant's character lost his hand. And you were shocked that I would do that to somebody. But
I was more shocked that I was the one that had to fucking remove it.
Yeah, there was a sickness that was taking over and it had to be amputated. But again, I wouldn't do that to someone without explicit consent. He approached me and asked for us to have that scene.
Yeah.
I would always discuss it with you first. I would always confirm that it was okay. And if it wasn't okay with you, I wouldn't do it to your character. And again, when there's interpersonal stuff happening, I say that there has to be consent from both sides for whatever it is to happen. I am not going to push things on your characters. And I won't let, for example, Ant's character to assault yours. I wouldn't let that happen.
I mean, you need a fucking welder.
Unless you were okay with it as plot development and character development, I wouldn't just give him free rein to do that.
No, because that's a one-way holy tunnel for my paladin. And he'd need a plasma cutter if he wants to get through my fucking armour.
You know what I mean.
I know what I mean.
I didn't necessarily mean sexual.
It wouldn't be cash money.
No. And it's...
I mean, on the flip side of this, we should also just mention Randy Pitchford. It's not okay to assault your members of staff, as that's also been in the news.
Yep. There's so many at the minute in the news about stuff like this, but this one being D&D, I thought we could tie in quite nicely.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds bad to say it, but it is a bit of a hot topic at the minute. It's been going off left, right and centre, and I don't mean that in...
People being assaulted has always happened, it's just we're getting more vocal about it now.
Yeah, the world is becoming a smaller place because of the internet and where news outlets work, and
people are becoming more and more... Well, people are becoming less anti-victim, so victims feel more confident in coming forward. So, I mean, a lot of assaults and things like that don't get reported still, more than half still. So think about how big it is in the news at the minute. That's not even half of cases.
I know.
But it's better than it was.
Think of, on the flip side as well, because of what a socially intertwined global community we've become through Facebook and Twitter and...
Insta and...
MySpace, Bebo. But the point I'm getting is, like, if you've been assaulted by someone and then you just so happen to stumble upon them in social media, you can end that person's life pretty much. So it just... why even do it in the first place? Like, I just don't understand how these people tick. And I suppose it takes a good, well-paid psychologist to figure that out. But, like, you don't just fucking put something like that in a game either. Like, I seriously hope that guy gets help.
So, I class what he did as a form of assault. He did that for the same reason that people rape people in real life. He did it as a power trip.
Yeah. And
that's all it was about. It was about feeling powerful. I mean, you're already the DM, mate. You're already in control of everything. How insecure...
That's not enough for some people. They need to get a fucking mental hard-on, like, to get off. And some they might even get off on that shit, the fucking weirdo. We don't know what kind of Shrek fucking fantasies he's writing at home. Like, what the fuck? And yeah, it is like a form of gatekeeping, because if you think about it, like, the people in that group, I mean, they might not all, some of them might have got a strong enough stomach to push past it, but there's going to be at least one or two people who are in that particular, like,
who were relatively
pickup
new.
Group, who were like, fuck this, I'm not playing D&D.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to fucking,
and especially
like,
the fact he was only doing it in groups with women.
Yeah.
That makes it out that he doesn't want women to play this game. That's why he's singling women out.
But it's fun to have women in a role-playing game. Otherwise, it's just
women make up more than half of the population of this
Yeah.
earth. There is a bias towards women. You can't just kick women out of your spaces.
And like games are a sausage fest anyway. It's nice to hear a different voice and a different
perspective.
Yeah. Because like the male and female perspectives are totally different, and it's refreshing. I mean, like for example, if you look at World of Warcraft, like there is a huge female population in that, especially on role-playing servers.
Yeah.
Because all the other servers are just full of like PvP people that are just like muggier. But again, people gatekeeping well though.
Yeah, people gatekeep all the time. Like I say, this is our larger topic for the whole episode. Gatekeeping mostly in D&D. It spreads across all games. As a female gamer, I have had a lot of attempts for this, and not just in gaming, just in nerd culture in general. There is a huge amount of us. I mean, I was reading an article the other day about the Star Trek series. Star Trek, when it first came out, was a housewives fantasy series. It wasn't taken seriously. It was a joke. It was for women. It was for stay-at-home mums. It was a piss take. Then a few men started to watch it, and then more, and they've turned it into a masculine thing. They've turned Star Trek into a boys' quote-unquote thing, and pushed women out of the spaces that the women created in the first place. The women built that fandom. And now, if I go to a con in a Star Trek cosplay, I get fucking random strangers coming up to me, going, "Oh, but in episode 428 of this one, who is this one side character's surname?" And I'm like, bitch, I don't fucking know every detail. Doesn't mean I'm not a fan. But then they're saying that you're not a real fan, you're just a fake nerd girl who's just trying to fuck people. Like, mate, have you smelt a convention hall? Have you seen the men at a convention? No one wants to fuck you, I'm sorry, dude.
Just a hint for the listeners, convention halls smell like smegma and BO. And the BO is universal, but the smegma, we know where that comes from. We fucking smelt you and we don't like it, you salty fuck. But anyway, no, it's like the thing is with Star Trek though, because I've seen the older series and the newer series, you had strong male and female leads that sort of built.
The original Star Trek was groundbreaking for its women representation.
But like it started off as that, and now it's like big titted alien GFs and like
it got that later on.
Yeah.
So the latest series that they've just released has got a female captain again. But I mean,
because Deep Space Nine had a female captain.
Yeah, we had several female captains, but it has seemed you have to have the macho. Basically, everyone thinks of Captain Kirk. That's it. For me, it was... I focus on Picard. I grew up with Picard.
That shiny motherfucker.
But a lot of people think about Kirk when they think about it, and he was very, very sexual.
He also played a Tauran shaman in World of Warcraft.
But we had the first interracial kiss on air. We had a female character in a position of power on there. It was groundbreaking for the time. And like I say, there's so many things like that where women have built up the fandom and then men have taken over and said, this is not for women. This is for us. And it's irritating. But, I sort of get it. As things get more popular, the fandoms change and the fan bases change, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you get people immediately trying to push women out of nerd, quote-unquote, spaces because it's not for girls.
I've got a fucking great one for this. Like... straight out the fucking park. Flip your fedora, boys. My Little Fucking Pony.
No, this is exactly it. That was literally made for women, for girls. And the men came in and they took over the fandom. And now you can't search it without finding porn of it.
Yeah,
you can't Google it. Little girls can't Google their favourite characters without immediately being shown horse dong.
Yeah, like little girls now, when they Google this, they just see horse cock. And like they see a horse cock before they see a real one when they're older. And like, what the fuck? And I mean, to be fair, I imagine that like sex toys for that are going through the roof.
But the thing is, There's nothing wrong with having those sort of tastes, and I understand with things like My Little Pony, it's more of an attraction to the characters than to horses. You really like that character. It's a well-built, well-rounded character that's what's attractive to you.
Well, I don't know. Like, if anyone's listening out there, like ask your brony friends and see what it's all about.
But the problem comes when little girls couldn't get their favourite toys at Christmas because grown men were ripping them out of little girls' hands in supermarkets.
We don't want to know what they're doing with them.
Because it's not for you. It literally is.
It's like boys had He-Man, girls had My Little Pony, they had Barbie, Polly Pocket, stuff.
Betty Spaghetti.
I didn't really know that much. All I do remember is those Cabbage Patch Kid toys that used to eat children's hair. They were metal as fuck. If you have one now, like, they'll go for a lot of money. Or it might get took off you.
Yeah, they were
depending on what you feed
pretty
it.
Damn quick.
Yeah, because they were just like literally destroying children's heads, like scalping them. It was fucking brutal. But yeah, so like, and it's fucking weird. Like, I totally understand. Like, go and torrent the seasons and watch them, but don't go to the shops and buy the fucking toys. They're for little girls. And I don't mean that in a sort of like a gatekeepy way, but I just mean you're killing the fun for the target audience.
I mean, little boys as well. Little boys were enjoying it as a genuine TV show that they enjoyed because it had great characters and great development and well-rounded characters. Yeah, there were male and female characters, and they were all equally well built. But even the little boys couldn't have them because the grown-ass men were so obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And like I say, there's nothing wrong. I watched My Little Pony up until about a couple of years back. I really, really enjoyed the series. It was well written. It was well-rounded characters. I understand completely, but I understood that I wasn't the target audience. I had no more right to My Little Pony stuff than the actual target audience of it did, and that's a big problem. I mean, those are a situation that's very specific, to be honest, of anti-female stuff. And you get a lot of that at cons around a lot of things. Like I say...
There are some things, though, that you don't get this anti-female stuff on, such as anime. There's still
a lot of anti-female in the
kind of,
world.
but it's a little bit different. So, like, the females in those kind of things tend to either be out there and proud, or they tend to sort of skirt around, because a lot of dudes that like anime...
Are creepy.
That's
the thing. You're either... I don't give a fuck, I'm going to enjoy this anyway.
Yeah.
Which led to the cosplayers not consent movement recently, because a lot of female cosplayers, specifically for anime...
twice.
It's happened a lot. Specifically for anime, they were going, fuck it, I enjoy this stuff, I'm going to do it anyway. We're getting assaulted by men in conventions because you're wearing skimpy clothing, because it's hypersexualized, because the animes are aimed at men. Therefore, you are now my bitch. And then you had the other ones who basically tried to keep quiet and keep to themselves, and would often have the other problem of people coming up going, you're not a real fan because I know what a real fan is and you're not one.
Like, I mean, this can get quite complex real quick.
But the thing is...
I mean, one thing I will say, if you want sort of like a pinnacle of what a female like anime fan would be like, look on Instagram for Cosplay Cringe. She sums it up perfectly, and I love her to bits for it. I think it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Because she does she does this fucking amazing impression of Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I mean, you don't expect it to come from this innocent-looking little girl. It's a lighter tone. Go watch a little series about how many days a voice sounds in anime, because that's the fucking peak one. I spat pop all over my phone.
I was going to quickly touch on, obviously, a lot of this is going to be coming across as very anti-male. Because unfortunately, these spaces are male-dominated, so that tends to be who is perpetrating the gatekeeping. But I have an example of where men are being put against.
Go on.
You're not going to like me talking about this. The yaoi fandom.
Is that dude on dude?
So
I don't know. Is it or is it girl on girl?
So that's Yuri. So in the anime fandom, you have these two terms: yaoi, which is MLM, and Yuri, which is WLW, or however you want to say it. So you may remember, because you're a little older than me anyway, in the sort of 2000s, yaoi paddles at conventions.
No.
You don't know about this? Okay, so
I was busy playing fucking video games. I weren't looking at what people fap to.
Well, it's not necessarily what people fap to. There was a lot of queer baiting in the anime scene at the time. There was a lot. There's an anime called Junjo Romantica, which
I think we've covered this.
Yeah. The series is actually pretty good, but the first episode involves assault.
Well, it basically starts off like Goblin Slayer then, which, by the way, they're confirming, there's confirmation there is going to be a film. Fucking nut. Anyway,
but the yaoi fandom got overwhelmed by these mostly teenage girls. It wasn't just teenage girls, but mostly teenage girls. And obviously it wasn't really aimed at them in the first place. A lot of the queer baiting was aimed at most likely gay men. It was something they could see themselves in the characters. It was a romance story for them. And these, let's say, mostly teenage girls absorbed it and made it their own and made it almost fetishistic. And then you ended up with things like Junjo Romantica, which very much, and a lot worse ones as well, that very much did fetishize gay men. And the biggest issue in this is being gay in Japan is not a good thing. It's very, very much persecuted. And then these men were getting kicked out of their only safe space they had. And to this day, you'll still have people... So this basically led into a weird thing at cons where yaoi fangirls would walk around with these seme-uki, which is the top and bottom, basically in Japanese, yaoi paddles, and would spank people with them. Some of it consensual, a lot of it not. Any cute guy would get smacked across the arse by this big wooden... It's almost like a bat, but a big paddle. And they were on sale at all the cons, so there was always loads of them around... And it was terrible, but the men weren't allowed into this space. This wasn't for them. When it literally was for gay men in the first place, but they overtook it and shoved them out and refused to give them access. And it made it an unsafe space for men. So it does work both ways.
Oh, yeah. But this entire conversation has just made me realise that humans are fucking weird. Mm-hmm. And if anyone needs me, I'm going to be on a lighthouse somewhere up north. And I'll grow a beard and just read manga and live in a lighthouse. Because fuck people.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
That's the thing. There's a lot of stuff that... It's just not okay. And like I say, a lot of it... I didn't want to come across too anti-men in this episode, so I did want to include that.
Yeah.
It's not just women and minorities that are put out. It's mostly them. But in small categories especially, it does happen the other way around. And to be honest, men fall foul to the "you're not a real fan" determined by some crazy-ass neckbeard.
Who's probably got a waifu pillow either in his car or in his
just
house.
Because you don't have enough of a life to, like, go out and do stuff with your time other than binge-watch anime and make flowcharts of weird conspiracy theories doesn't mean everyone else is. But yeah, I mean...
We can't beat on those people either, because those kind of people they're not born like that. No. They're created. You know, they won't have seen a real tit until they were a man, kind of thing. Yeah, it's more... But they are, you know, there are nice people like that, because I know nice people that are like that. They're not the people that go, "You're not a real fan." They're the kind of people that are like... Yeah, a lot of it comes off, and I don't want to sound an asshole for saying this, so a lot of the time you'll find out that it's someone who is not 100% neurotypical, and therefore is bullied from childhood and makes them less sociable. And I'm not saying that, you know, they're autistic or anything like that. Just people who don't fall into the general quote-unquote normal category. I was severely bullied as a child. I wasn't a typical neurotypical child. I was a bit weird myself. I was bullied because I wore glasses. No one else did. Like, that was one of the few reasons I didn't get bullied. I did wear glasses, and so did a lot of people. Yeah, there was everybody in that class, like, of different creeds and races and things, and it was almost humbling, I guess, in a way, to see that they were all accepted absolutely fine, but because I had two pieces of glass on my face, so I could see properly, I was the one that got bullied. I went to a terrible school. I am paler than pale. I am almost pure white skin. I got called slurs for Asian people all the time. I was a size 0 at my prom, and that's after I had tried to gain some weight, and I got called fat all the time. Kids don't have to make sense with their bullying. No, they really don't. But the thing is, because of that pushed for them to be normal and them to be fitting into these weird boxes, it can sometimes push people further out of the societal norms, and that's how you end up with people who are so obsessed with this stuff, because they don't have anything else to fall back on, and it's not okay. Sometimes you get people who are just assholes. Yep, and karma normally comes and bites them in the ass, or sometimes it's a treat. I mean, you never know someone's story, so I would never assume that, you know, you do have the neckbeard
stereotype.
Milady.
I never would assume that anyone is like that until they prove themselves like that. And again, you never know if it's because of what's happened in their past. So obviously, show some compassion still, but don't put up with people's bullshit, basically.
Would the term incel be involuntary celibate be a term to use?
So this is a form of, you're going to hate me for saying this, toxic masculinity.
Yeah, but like...
People get upset about that because they think that means all masculinity is toxic. No, it means this subset of behaviours is toxic.
Yeah.
And they are displayed in people who are trying to be hypermasculine.
Wait, I think we've got this a little bit crossed up. See, an incel...
No, I know.
It's like your typical, I studied the sword, milady,
yes, exactly.
neo jacket, sort of...
It's still, the way they treat women is where it comes into...
Yeah.
The toxic masculinity.
It's really creepy.
Yeah, so the toxic masculinity there is women are here for me. Women are here for my pleasure, and I am the special one. Women owe me this. That is a form of toxic masculinity.
There's something, but I wouldn't call them special.
So a lot of this overlaps. You find in the nerd fandom, because it, until recently, was on the periphery, you ended up gaining a lot of this type of person.
Yeah.
So a lot of it crosses over and blah, blah, blah. There are people who were in the incel community who get out and, you know, quote unquote, get over it and realise that women are humans too and they are not anything special and they need to calm the fuck down. But it's not everyone. And the problem is with communities like that is they become an echo chamber. So you go in without any extremist views, just, oh, why can't I get a date? And it's an echo chamber, it bounces it back to you that
it's like, fuck the female patriarchy.
And it builds up and it builds up until you reach the point where you go out and murder women for not wanting to sleep with you.
I mean, just whack it.
But getting back on topic anyway, because we've gone down a dark hole and I want to come out of it.
It's a very dark fucking hole. The one thing I will say about it all is, from an outsider's perspective, as someone who is no longer a virgin and hasn't been for many years now, many times around the clock. Yeah, like, stop watching the fucking 50s gangster movies, have a shave and a shower and put some decent clothes on, throw that hat in the bin. That hat hasn't been fashionable for 40 years.
Look after you.
Yeah. Like I say, just whack it, man. Just whack it. Just a little bit.
People think that women want, like, repair jobs. Women want a project man. But most of us just want someone who's comfortable in themselves.
Yeah, like, someone will come home, leave their trousers in the hallway and make a fucking slap-up meal.
Mm-hmm. This is literally Kyle.
I hang them up sometimes.
That's the weirder bit, is when he hangs just his trousers on the side of the door.
Hey, if you don't hang your trousers up to poop, are you really going for a poop?
But people just... Your whole life can't revolve around a relationship.
No, it's not the end goal. Like,
no.
I suppose some of it...
A relationship is a bonus. Like, you have to be comfortable with you.
Some of it can come from that primal urge of just, I need to mate. I need to throw my DNA at a female and make a smaller me. And it takes a lot of balls, to cue the pun, to sort of resist that urge.
To be fair, if this is the incels thing that, you know, you have to mate for genetic reasons and your brain puts you in that position. Have you not seen Jeremy Kyle? I promise you there is someone out there who will want to fuck you.
Jeremy Kyle makes me lose faith in the human race.
Like
there are literal...
If the people on Jeremy Kyle can get laid, anybody can.
And they
Don't
are literal
worry about it.
walking bags of diseases, some of them. Like, fuck me.
But anyway, getting off topic again, we're trying to bring it back round to gatekeeping.
Yeah, gatekeeping, sorry.
So, again, there's always been women in these communities, but they've been pushed out a lot of the time. Or they don't feel comfortable revealing their gender. I've mentioned many times that if I am playing on Overwatch, I never go on voice. Never.
I totally think
if I play online, I never go on voice.
You type?
I type, but I will never go in voice chat because it makes you an instant target. Is that a grill? Is that a grill? Hey, where's your Snapchat? Why aren't you giving me your Snapchat? Why are you being such a fucking whore, you piece of shit? Team kill.
Or the classic tits or GTFO. Mm-hmm. But like, maybe we should do an experiment. Let's get a voice changer, please. And I'll
play a few rounds as a female and then a few rounds as a male.
I will play a few rounds as a female with the voice changer. You play a few as a dude. Like, I can already see me messing with people on this. It's going to be great. But, you know, I've seen this before. Like, if I was playing but you were the one doing the voicing, like, they'd be like, shit, we're getting owned by a girl. No,
you wouldn't. You'd get people telling you how shit you are still.
Even though
you could be the best player on the team. Mm-hmm. If you are a female, you will be told that you're the reason we're losing. You're so shit, and everyone's carrying you.
And the people with this opinion, if you go to South Korea and play a girl at StarCraft, I guarantee you'll be the fucking bitch.
Gender has nothing to do with gaming ability. Nothing to do with gaming ability.
No,
it is entirely practice based.
Savage dedication, energy drinks, and sleepless nights. Of course, there's going to be some exceptions. Like, there's always going to be a game that people are going to be shit at, but still enjoy playing.
The whole point, I've said this multiple times, you play a game to have fun.
Yep.
As long as you are having fun, doesn't matter what the fuck anyone else says, you're doing it right.
Unless it's Dark Souls, then you just need to fucking get good.
Kyle. But seriously, it doesn't matter what the game is, it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you're having fun, that's the purpose of games. Games are there to entertain, so as long as you are entertained and having fun, you're doing it right. Fuck everybody else. Like, I don't give a shit. I intentionally avoid conflict because I can't be fucking arsed with it.
Yeah.
But I don't care. If I'm playing badly, then I'm playing badly. As long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters.
Yep.
I'm terrible at games. Anyone who's watched our streams will see I am terrible at games. I just button mash and hope for the best.
You don't. When you play Mercy and I play like a fucking tank, like we can double team pretty much anyone.
Yeah, but
and you've even got some kills as Mercy, so you can't even like. Even I don't
it's
get
easy
kills.
to get kills as Mercy because no one expects you to pull out the gun.
Yeah, they expect you to just be a heal bot.
They expect you to just run away around the nearest corner so they ignore you and you just shoot them in the face.
Yeah, you just open fire. You just got to unload on them. That's all you got to do. They should buff it, pistol.
Again, I want to bring this back around to D&D because this is what started the whole conversation in the first place. And we're getting on in time. In D&D, you will find a lot of gatekeeping. People don't like women or minorities. From first edition D&D, you've been able to play a trans character.
Neat.
There was a belt of sex change in first edition. There is a potion of sex change now, and both of those allow you to be non-binary as well. Both of them allow you to have no gender as well as swapping gender.
So you could be like smooth down there. Mm-hmm. So you could just have a pee hole. You could be a Ken doll.
Yep. You could be agender. You could be swapping between one gender or another. You could be somewhere in the middle.
A big muscular chick with a dick.
It has been allowed from day one.
Yeah.
But people will come out and go, it's not realistic because they couldn't do sex change surgery in high fantasy situations.
It's magic!
The dragon can fly over, that's fine, but you can't have a sex change. Fuck off.
Right. You guys who think this, you need to go to the traditional games board and look at a 5e general board. I can guarantee you there's more people role-playing as chicks with dicks in there than regular role-players. Mm-hmm. And I don't give a fuck what you say, you insecure fuck. This is, like, just deal with it. It's a game. You can fucking do what you want. It's a game.
If anything, it makes for better storytelling. It gives you more opportunities to throw curveballs.
Could you imagine, like, the fucking grousing table? If you were, like... It'd be like, oh, you woke up with, like, 9 women. And you're like, wow. Or you got your dick trapped in the toilet seat.
Neither of them. Well, I think the 9 women one might be on there somewhere, but... yeah, I mean... In a high fantasy world, anything is possible. You cannot sit there and say that certain people are not allowed to be who they want to be.
And I mean, this transcends into the real world as well. Like, from incels to, the people who have to be ashamed or hide, or the people that are being targeted. Like, the world is your oyster and you can do whatever you want. If you want to go and destroy that, as a girl, if you like girls and you want to go out there and...
Smash that pussy.
Have some front bum. Tried to keep it,
This is a non-PG.
Yeah.
This is definitely
If you want to drink from the furry love cup, that's totally fine. And if you're a dude that likes dudes, have that pork sword fight. It's your life. Don't let people, neckbeards, whatever, on the internet. And, like, incels, like, take a step back. Read a fucking book that's not, like, Andrew Ryan and fucking just go and get laid.
As a DM, I know I'm doing my job correctly when I have to say nothing at all. when my players are having in-character talk amongst themselves and I don't have to give them any input. That's when I know I've done my job well. The best way to get that is having different opinions and different ideals and different perspectives. The easiest way to have that is to have a mix of people at the table with different perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a big gay dragon.
We have my mother, who is from a completely different generation from the rest of us and has different ideals because of how she was raised differently.
It's fucking hilarious sometimes.
We have Nat and Joe, who are a couple who are stoner vegans. We have me, who is massively anti-drug and a huge meat eater. I couldn't give up lamb for the life of me. I would rather eat lamb and die.
And then you've got the paladin who needs to hold his tongue all the time.
Yeah, we've got Kyle, who's very insulting to everybody who exists half the time.
And the meat shield.
And we've got Ant, who is gay.
And he's big and cuddly.
Yeah. So we have a complete mix. And my online one, I have 2 Germans, one who spent some time living in LA, one of them who's only ever lived in Germany. Mm-hmm. One's at college, the other is a sound engineer. I have a Finnish dude originally who's living in Iceland at the moment, who is a proper full-on death metal head. Like, nothing ever makes him smile, ever. And we have Lisa, who is a born-again Christian from Texas. The theological debate...
Isn't she, like, the only Texan as well not to own a gun?
Yeah, but her husband has. Her husband has a concealed carry.
Doesn't count. She doesn't have a gun. She's a Texan without a gun, people.
But the
it's
point
alright,
is...
because she carries an
The point is that is a wide range of people, and we often have theological debate in the game. Mm-hmm. And you know, Lisa never once takes part, because her character is non-religious. She has nothing much to say on the matter.
But in real life, she's religious.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to break out of your shell and be someone else for a bit. And sometimes that's all people need to get over their issues and to get over their worries and their stress, is just have some time not being you. I think a lot of games give that escape, but D&D is a lot more personal and customised, so it's quite a big draw for people.
Yeah.
But we've had Respira, who is one of the German lads, is playing a female character. As long as they don't do the silly, oh my god, voice, I don't give a fuck. You can play a girl, that's fine. That doesn't make any difference.
I think if I played a female character in D&D, I'd have to go with, like, a big orc woman.
That's fine.
Like, who's basically, like... She could shatter...
Death by snoo.
Yeah, she could shatter a man's pelvis with her legs.
But the point is, we have a massive range of people in that group. Mm-hmm. All with completely different upbringings and backgrounds. All with different opinions and perspectives. And they are willing to talk things through. Yeah. And we know that anything said in game, in character especially, is not going to be taken out and applied to each other there, because why would it affect real life? But you get a lot of gatekeeping. People want a table full of their straight white male friends with the same opinions, and it just becomes a drag. There's no discussion. The
best way to sort of put yourself in someone else's shoes is play Xbox Live as a girl, or as... You know, whatever you want. Just put yourself in their shoes and just think of all the torrents of abuse they get.
If you think you're making funny jokes and taking the piss, imagine her getting that 24/7.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what I saw on Twitter. The Xbox logo has been changed for Pride. Mm-hmm. And the first response on it that's got a shitload of upvotes was Xbox is finally celebrating the most commonly used insult on the platform. Mm-hmm. And what does that say about the community that people are building?
And the thing is, we are the community. We're the only ones that can make it better.
Yeah, we are. And
we need to be pushing more for it. I mean, in D&D, so I've been wanting to play since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I only just started 2-3 years ago now.
Yeah.
After wanting to play it for literal years. Because, again, when I did come across friends who played... Their DMs didn't really want to bring a new girl into the group.
Didn't you go to a store as well, or like a games room kind of thing, and you got shunned for it, even though you were chatting more about it than they were?
We had a comic book shop that I always used to go to in my hometown, which closed down, unfortunately. Moved to a different town and then closed down. And every time I walked in there, it was like being one of the family. The guy behind the till, the guy that owned it, and his son, they were always really friendly. They were always encouraging people to join in discussions. I was just starting to fall in love with Batman at the point, so I would be talking that with a lot of people and learning and doing stuff there, and it was great. Then another shop opened in a different area of town, a better location, actually, to be honest. And the first time I went in, it was dead quiet, but the guy behind the till was like glaring at me the whole time I was in there. Someone came in, and a lad, and started talking with the guy behind the till. I'm like, okay, fair enough. They must know each other then. That's probably why he was giving me a weird look, because he's not seen me in it before. That's fine. And they mentioned something about Batman that I'd been having a discussion with like a couple of weeks before. So I knew the answer to the question he was asking. So I answered it and asked him. I can't remember. It was years ago now. I can't remember the specifics. But as soon as I spoke, they both turned to me and just sort of glared at me. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Why the fuck are you taking part in this conversation?
See, I can discuss the flip side of this. So there's a comic book store in Sheffield, which I believe is no longer due to the area it's in. And I went in there with a girl. And I have never seen two guys like cringe and start to involuntary sweating so much in my life. She went in, we looked around, she went straight to the adult section, the uncensored like mangas and doujins, and started flicking through them, and I saw these two guys at the counter and they did not know what to do with themselves. They were sweating, they were going red, they were panicking, and she just cool and calmly turned to me and went, "Hey, check this out, on page 30 they're fucking, can we buy this one?" And the guy had gone. There was just the guy behind the till, and he was like, "Fuck, I've got to stay here and serve these people." And like, sometimes that kind of shit doesn't always work, because like, you know, some of them, I suppose they might have been incels. I don't know. I don't really want to throw that word around that much, but they just didn't know what to do when they couldn't stop a female from doing what they wanted them, not wanting them to do. So
and there's no reason to kick women out of it. I mean, after, like I said, I've spoken to these two guys.
Yeah.
The one who'd come in turned around and just left without a word, and the guy behind the till asked me to leave because I was driving away his customers. See, I wasn't a customer.
This is what I don't understand. Like, if anything, it would make everything more comfortable and more accepting if both genders were in there and got on with it. Because I mean, I don't want to go. Well, I'm not that kind of person, but I don't want to go into a comic book store and look at some big-titted manga and like there'd be no girls. I mean, that's just, it feels a bit weird. Like, if there's girls in there and they're also accepting of that sort of thing, and I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that both genders should be able to get on with this problem.
Yeah, because it's not to do with gender.
Well,
like,
you know what I mean? If people
that's the thing. People see it as a gender issue that women shouldn't be in these spaces. It's not a girl thing to do.
But it is.
But that's the thing. It's not a man thing to do. It's just a thing to do. Yeah. It can be for anybody. It's fine. But bringing it back to D&D briefly before we have to call it quits. Obviously, it's not just LGBT people. It's not just women. There has been a lot of discourse recently about elves.
What, are they like the sluts of the magical world?
Well, elves and orcs.
Orcs?
To do with skin colours.
Oh, yeah, the whole green skin thing. Yeah, I know about this.
So, most people will know green and skin tones, which can be used in both elves and orcs a lot, depending on what media we're looking at. It's applied a lot to elves. Is negative connotations towards Jewish people. That's how that skin colour started.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, but how? Like, Jewish people are the same colour as us.
So, something we don't get in England a lot. Jewish is not just a religion.
It's a way of life, I guess.
No, there is a Jewish race of people.
Is there?
Yeah, quote unquote. There is a Jewish line from...
Were they green?
No. But a lot of anti-Semitic comics had them as green-skinned goblins collecting money.
Oh shit. There's an entire race in WoW like that.
A lot of anti-Semitism made them money-hungry and green-skinned to separate them and to make them evil. It's happened across the world, across several generations.
I mean, they even joke about how they run Hollywood. They joke about how the Jewish run Hollywood. And behind the scenes, there might be a large Jewish presence in Hollywood. But, like, I would have never associated them with, like, money-grabbing goblins.
See, that's the thing. In the UK, Judaism is seen as just a religion. We don't have a lot of Jewish community.
Yeah, I'm going to say, do you know what?
In the same way.
I have worked and travelled all over the UK in the last 2 years. No, 4 years. And not once have I ever actually met a Jewish person. Or, like, I know of a Jewish person.
It's uncommon here. In America, it's a lot more common. You'll find curly hair. You've seen the traditional Jewish sort of stereotype. Curly hair, slightly large nose usually. That's because there's an actual hereditary, there's a familial link back that carries those traits. People get very upset if you display a Jewish person as having dead straight hair, because that's not, would be the same way as showing a African person with dead straight blonde hair. That's not part of their traditional traits, and it's whitewashing in quotes.
But what if they don't like their curly hair?
That's fine. That's fine. That's not the discussion we're having. But I mean, obviously, people can. I've got blue hair, Kyle. I'm not going to sit here and say people can't straighten and colour their hair. That's fine. But if you are displaying it in media and that's your one person of representation, that's the one bit of representation you have, and you whitewash it, that's a problem. And that happens a lot with Jewish people nowadays, and it upsets people. But this whole green skin thing has been going on for a long, long time. It's not great. And there was a big outcry, an uproar, about a year and a half ago when the Adventure Zone comic was released.
Did it have a green person in it?
The elf character was depicted as blue-skinned.
Like World of Warcraft?
They specifically chose blue because it was obviously high fantasy still.
Yeah.
They didn't want it to be... Because obviously the three people who do the Adventure Zone podcast are all white men. But they always go out of their way to have good representation. Mm-hmm. So Merle, the dwarf character, was given really dark skin because he was supposed to be a beach dwarf, basically. He grew up on islands near he would be tan, that makes sense. Magnus is shown as having relatively dark skin. He's not a pale white person. And they didn't want to go for the traditional elf, the slim white elf. So they picked blue, specifically avoiding green because of the anti...
You see, this is the thing. The way I've been brought up with this whole fantasy genre was that, like, elves... there's many types of elves. You've got elves that just look like us with pointy ears. You've got night elves which go from light blue to dark purple. And then there's orcs and goblins and trolls which can be... Well, orcs can be green or brown.
So you've been heavily influenced by World of Warcraft and their selections on there, which is fine.
Trolls can be green too.
I know. But the problem was, Taco, the elf, had a long history of stealing things and being obsessed with money.
Okay.
Add that with green skin, and you're getting dangerously close to the anti-Semitic, stereotypes.
Yeah, if it was a lawyer, it'd round everything off.
Yeah, so they intentionally went for a blue skin because they didn't want to have another white guy.
Yeah.
And it's fantasy, so they can have any colour they want. So they went with blue, and there was a bit of an upcry about it being too close to green and it being still anti-Semitic. So this is a thing that is still out there.
But I'm pretty sure if you get a colour chart out, blue and green are fair distance apart.
Yeah, it depends on what shade you go for. But it's different in the UK because we are not a religiously focused country.
No, we're a lot more based.
Yeah, the majority of people in the UK are non-religious.
I don't know.
I don't know if they're not specifically religious, but they don't identify flat out as a Christian or...
the main religions that we've got in the UK at the minute, is...
Christianity and Islam.
Christianity and Islam. Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi is a big one up on there.
Yeah. Pastafarian, yeah. All hail the great spaghetti monster. Come down to destroy lesser religions.
Are obviously joke religions that were people write in ballots and became so popular they now have to include them on the ballots. They're officially registered as religions now. It started off as joke.
There are other joke religions, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of joke ones. Pastafarianism started because a guy wanted to show the ridiculousness of passport photos and got it signed up as a religious headwear to wear a colander on your head, so he was allowed to wear it in his passport photo.
With the Jedi one, there was a guy who he changed his name by deed poll to Luke Skywalker, or he had his surname set to Skywalker or something, but he did it double barrel, and he's not allowed a passport anymore.
No.
He's stuck in the UK. Sucks to be you, because when Brexit hits and we're all gone, you're going to be here on your own. Who's going to wash the pots then?
But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this whole thing was coming around that there are potentially anti-Semitic tones in a lot of fantasy. And there's a lot of things like that. So you'll often find that people in their games I have to intentionally avoid being too racist in my games, because a lot of things I want to do, I'm worried about coming across as, for example, in my game, the Dragonborn, it's a massive plot point that they can't be female, they can only be male. So there is a whole thing of them raiding and kidnapping women, and they treat them well, but there's the internal ideal that these women are being rescued and given better lives and better futures, because Torut Nougat is extremely wealthy. The Dragonborn are extremely wealthy, and they have a lot of resources that you can only get in their lands.
Wait, are they actually dragon people?
Dragonborn.
This is borderline furry territory.
Have you not seen the character art for Ant's picture?
I have, but I thought they'd be like Algonians, like the lusty Algonian barmaid.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Yeah, so
they have dragon heritage, but they're not dragons.
I didn't realise that they couldn't have females, but
not as standard. This is just in my game. This is something I've homebrewed.
I was gonna say, because all I can imagine is a Dragonborn badly playing a lute trying to serenade some woman.
No. Anyway, so the Dragonborn see it as them liberating these women, basically giving them better lives.
Tell that to my character's mom.
The outside countries see it as obviously these women being kidnapped and brainwashed. So there's a whole thing going off with that. Now, for the Dragonborn's marriage ceremonies, I wanted them to be different. But a lot of things, I was worried that, because they're being painted in a negative light to begin with, I didn't want I wanted something that wasn't a traditional English marriage, because that's what I've used for the human race.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've done the piercings and tattoos for the dwarven race. How do I make it so that married women in Torut Nougat are obviously married without doing something racist? Without giving them a bindi.
What's a bindi?
Or the red dot that Indian married women have. Or a headscarf.
Or a collar.
This is the thing. I didn't want to do anything.
It's getting borderline kinky.
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything that would be insulting. So I thought long and hard before I made the decision about that. I've ended up with hair combs. So they'll have decorative hair pieces instead. I'm hoping that's not going to insult anybody too much. But it was the only thing I could think of that wasn't immediately going to give someone a negative...
Word is, going round the order, is that once you go dragon, you never go back. So even if they didn't have that in their hair, they'd be totally fine. I thought he was going to go with something more like braids.
No, because the dwarves do a lot of braids in their hair.
Oh yeah, or like beads.
Again, the dwarves have gold rings in it and heads in their hair. This is the
Whoa.
problem. I wrote myself into a corner. But
bangles,
being
fucking
inclusive,
snap bangles. We'll invent them and they can have marriage
being
bangles.
inclusive as a DM is something you have to work on.
Oh yeah.
Everyone has their own things, their own internal. I said this to some people at work. Everyone is a little bit racist. Everyone is a little bit sexist. Everyone is prejudiced.
Especially
the difference is whether you try and work against your upbringing or if you lean into it and make things worse for people. As long as you are trying to counteract that and are trying to be a better person, that's all we can ask of you. That's all we can ask. It's not easy. It's much easier to be full of hate like you were raised.
Yeah, because that's what our parents did. They're I'm not saying ours are, but vast majority of people in their 40s, 50s and 60s are old, racist, grumpy and against anything that involves multiculturalism or a religion that doesn't revolve around Catholicism or...
And that's how they were raised.
What's the other one? Protestantisms.
Yeah, one of the Protestant...
Basically, the way I look at the two Christian faiths are...
There's a lot more than two.
Well... Yeah, but we'll not get that deep. We're not going down there. But what I will say is that, Protestants, it's it's like standard black coffee you have in the morning, wakes you up. And then Catholicism is like a fucking grand latte sprinkled with gold flakes and goat's milk and probably a dash of soy just to mix things up. It's all grand and fantastical. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to make a joke about anything bad, but it all boils down to it stops us all from going nuts.
But yeah, so there's a lot anyway, and as long as you are trying to be better, that's all people can ask of you. Don't be like this guy at the Games Expo. Don't be happy to sit there and force yourself upon other people. Don't be happy to sit there and say, I am the most important person in this room and you don't matter unless you are providing me entertainment. No. And don't put up with it if someone does that. Be like the girl who stood up, fucking put him on blast and got him kicked out and permanently banned from their events. Stand up for what you know is right. Don't put up with bullshit. If your DM is trying to push character decisions on you that you don't feel alright, you don't want to do, tell them no, they can stick their fucking game and walk. Plus, it's hard to find a new game, but it's much better than sacrificing your own mental health.
And on the flip side of it as well, don't waste your time with these people.
If they're not willing to respect you, then now they never will. Time
is precious, and we don't know what happens when we die. So make the most of everything that you've got. And even if that means walking away from some soy boy who fucking decides that he wants to get his dick out metaphorically at the table and force it in everyone's mouths, then you might as well just walk away from it and put something nice in your mouth, like a cold, refreshing drink.
People are out there with the same mentality as you who want to give you a good D&D game, who want to give you a good experience. Do not belittle yourself by making yourself sit through and deal with these arseholes when you don't have to.
And also on the flip side of that, we're not denouncing nookie in these games, at all.
No, if you sign up for it.
If you want any sort of coitus in your game, then roll with it. But obviously,
talk to the DM beforehand. Make sure it's all laid out and rules are set. That's fine.
Yeah, just be like the DM. I want to get laid this session, and the DM will be like, "Your boy's got you." Or your DM might be like, "Nah, carousing table. You're gonna wake up with an ass like a Pringles tube."
But that's the thing. Like I say, it's about having fun, and if you're not having fun, don't put up with it.
Exactly.
But it's been quite a heavy session.
Yeah, next session's going to be way fucking better.
Yeah, we're talking about Pokemon next, so that'll be nice and fun and fluffy. We're actually recording this at 9 o'clock at night. We're actually due to start streaming in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And we've got Wooloo. Wooloo. Fucking anyone who's watched the Pokemon thing already, we fucking love Wooloo, and
I'm getting us Wooloo crew hats.
Can I just have a Wooloo plush and just have it at that? But I want you to order the biggest one you can find.
Hell yeah. How about we make one? Me and you are going to sit down and we're going to make a giant Wooloo plush that's as big as the sofa.
Fuck.
It's going to be awesome. We can use it as a beanbag.
Okay.
But yeah, so next week will be a lot more fun. I just thought that this was a really important topic that we needed to discuss, and there's a lot to discuss. I'd like to talk more in depth about certain topics we've brushed on at some point, but it's kind of a heavy thing and we don't want to bog down too much. But we do have some quick updates. We now have a webcam that we bought today for streaming, so you'll now get to see our ugly mugs on camera.
Your ugly mug. I'm off shot right now.
Yeah, we're going to be playing some World of Warcraft literally straight after this. So
I am logging on right now.
But we'll also be playing a few more bits. We're going to tend to stream more at the weekends purely because of work. I am off work for the next 2 weeks, so I will be streaming in the week.
I have a proper well-paid job now, so I'll be at work.
Yeah. We can still stream of an evening, though, for the next 2 weeks. And then it'll go back to our regular, mostly at the weekend schedule, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we're going to try and do a lot more streaming stuff, try and get our faces out there a bit more. Maybe record a few bits to go on YouTube in terms of games. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this week's session as much as you could anyway, guys. Like I say, it's stuff that has to be talked about, and I think people don't talk about it enough sometimes. So it's something we needed, after seeing that news article, we needed to confront, really. But yeah, any last minute bits of advice to give out, Kyle?
Always feed your cats before you start streaming.
That's good advice. Luna's been laid all over us the whole time.
Yeah, it'll keep them chilled out. Give them a bit of catnip,
Yeah, she's had a lot of that today.
Yeah, and if you don't have a cat, then get one. Because there's lots of cats that need rescuing out there. And dogs. Mm-hmm. But fuck parrots. They're evil.
Pets make a house a home. It will always make you feel better.
Yeah, there's nothing better.
Even if they shit all over the floor.
Yeah, there's nothing better than being greeted at 7:30 in the morning by a warm turd.
But with that, guys, we're going to leave it there. Have a good week, and we'll speak soon.
Adios.
Bye.